Where do you stand morally on, objectivism versus collectivism?
I was an objectivist for years.
Really?
I was a big Ayn Randian guy. Through university, it felt like, without having to believe in God, the most strange and provocative thing you could get into. You could be a Nietzschean, and people just go, interesting, deep, strange, context. You say, I love Ayn Rand, and people look at you like you're a massive spastic.
And were you?
Oh, yeah. I was wrong. But I love Ayn Rand. Did you ever read Ayn Rand?
I read The Fountainhead.
It's a gripping read.
Yes.
There's nothing I want to do more than blow up public housing and make a speech so that everybody agrees that was the right thing to do.
It was.
And also, there is the rape is, but she's obviously very keen.
There's a rape.
Complicated.
It's a very hot
rape.
But he rapes her, and that's not good. That's one of the many problems with objectivism is that there's room in it for a hot rape.
But not like a random stranger.
No, it's a woman that he's been spending some time with. And
who's attracted to him.
Oh, okay.
She's very keen, but
he made his move. He pulled the trigger too soon,
and
he saw what
he wanted
him
to
do
the
that. Other thing. She was
also
unable to say it's. Man, what a great book! I mean, it is. It must be said. I went on. I read. I think it was Anthem. Her first book.
Oh, okay.
First, which is very sort of 1984-y.
Okay.
But from an objectivist point of view, and I enjoyed that a great deal. And then I read. No, Atlas Shrugged, and here's a weird.
You read all of Atlas Shrugged.
I got through all of. I was ripped through Atlas Shrugged.
Wow.
But I was going through this weird time in my life where I was 21, 22 at university, and I was just really getting off on reading big books. Mm-hmm. That was my. Comedy wasn't going well. I just started. I was doing an arts degree. I was getting some money from the government to study. Not a lot, but I was living with my parents or living in meager sharehouse arrangements. And so there was a lot of time, and I'd quit video games. So I read War and Peace, Anna Karenina, Infinite Jest, and so after those, boy, Atlas Shrugged is an absolute romp.
Really?
Oh, you rip through it.
Wow.
And it's very strange. Okay, her philosophy, I don't know how across Ayn Rand you are.
None whatsoever.
Her whole thing, sort of a perversion of Aristotelian ethics, that objectivism, the world is objective, things are as they are, A equals A is a big thing for her. So, don't get caught up in, simulacra and your own nonsense. Just what you want is good. Go and get what you want. Uh-huh. And you can know who you are, and you are governed by reason. All these things
finding purpose through your work.
That's hugely important. Mm-hmm. But also that your work should be just and meaningful in some way. That there are some forms of work that are despicable, but that you're sort of. This is the mystic component, that you're born to do something, and all the good characters in her books are really born to be he's born to be an architect. Mm-hmm. If I'm loud, is that annoying?
No.
Great. He's born to be an architect, and he's going to be a certain kind of architect. And other people who are born to be architect who aren't being an architect in the right way, they're scum, and they are goo people who are being torn down.
But they've abandoned themselves. They've abandoned their own path.
They didn't have
beautiful.
They didn't have a willing heart.
I love that you've got that. I don't usually have that.
That one wasn't the clap one.
What did you push?
A horn, a bell, cricket, and...
Where's the da-dum-ch?
That's the record scratch.
This is the record scratch?
Yeah, this is the record scratch.
All right, that'll be necessary for what I'm about to say.
Yes.
Here's the big problem with Ayn Rand's philosophy. Is that there are some things that we have to do. Did that work? Was that funny? Great. So in Atlas Shrugged, and this is spoiling it, so skip ahead. Where's the da-dum-ch?
Blue, dark blue.
Da-dum-ch and record. What is that one?
It's like a fairy wand.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't indulge.
We don't grab it. Dump it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
It's because it's going to escape me and I'm not going to get it right. The plot of Atlas Shrugged is great people are disappearing. The world is held aloft by all these. Who's the guy in the Fountainhead? Who's the main guy? Roach.
No, Rourke.
Rourke. He wants to be an architect, and
Howard Rourke.
it's a different kind of society, a little bit in Atlas Shrugged, where it's held aloft by like these 100. America survives because there's like 100 great people who are true to themselves, and whereas in the Fountainhead, they're true to themselves about sort of boring things, exciting things like architecture or journalism. Here, it's like she runs trains. You know, and there's another guy who's like, I love making the steel for the train tracks. That's my thing, is making steel. And another guy's like, my big thing, it's just like pedantic, just like industrial types. The man who makes coal, the man who makes weapons. Mm-hmm. And they start disappearing. And then the economy starts to fall apart. And she goes to a magical land hidden in the mountains with the man whose job in his life is to be a pilot. And she goes to this community, and it's all the people who have abandoned America because America wasn't treating them right, and they've walked away. They're men going their own way and women going their own way, and they're all here in this little kingdom, and they're just waiting for America to have all the mediocrities and people who lie to themselves collapse and crumble. And, there's the man who loves making ice cream. They have the perfect society because everyone's being true to themselves. It's heaven. Mm. And then one of the people there is the mother. And she's a perfect mother to her 2 children. And you go, hold on, that's not all right. You can't have a society of 100 people and only one of them should be a mother. And because that's what she was born to do, is be a mum. This is nonsense. Women need to be mothers. Men need to be, for the race, for the human race.
To make the pilots and the steelmen. And
My God, I mean, what if 1 in a million people is a good educator? Just no one will go to school. This is how she's very different. I mean, capitalism would say it's your own material self-interest, and you don't want to go and work at the beer shop, but we need beer, and so you can have 10 silver coins spending a time you didn't want to spend there at the beer manufacturing establishment. But she goes everywhere. If you have a willing heart and you achieve what would seem impossible to other people, but is only possible for you, then you'll be happy and the world will be happy and everybody should live like this. And all virtue is subservient to your desire. And
the virtue of selfishness.
Yes, she goes on and on about the virtue of selfishness. It's a very virtuous rape.
But selfishness, she interprets as different than most people interpret selfishness.
Yes. Well, she has a lofty idea of the self. She doesn't really believe in human nature being harmed or fallen in some way. I think this is people can be harmed and fallen and do the wrong thing, but it's because they have the wrong ideas or they're somehow weak. But like, if you really know who you are and you really go about doing it, and this is very compelling when you're a teenager. Because you think that I am the great man.
It was compelling to me 8 months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I have nothing against
right?
Fountainhead.
Yeah, it's all he talks
about. It's a great
read.
I started reading it again recently.
I should read it.
I gave it to a friend, and so I didn't get to keep reading it. It's great.
So what was kind of the point of the woman who was the mother? Is that every woman should be a mother?
I think she's making the point that even things that are less extravagant than discovering a new way to make a metal. Something as ordinary as being a mother.
Okay.
That should just be done by someone who's called to it. Mm-hmm. And that this isn't, someone he loves scrubbing toilets.
Right.
The way he scrubs those toilets. Right. He should only be a toilet scrubber, and he's going to find new, exciting ways of scrubbing.
And he will aspire to be the best he can at it.
The best he can, and it doesn't matter if he's the best in the world. He probably will be, because with this attitude,
because he's following himself.
He's following himself. Mm-hmm. But that you've got to become the best person you can be. And it is electric, except that I don't think it maps well onto life. Right. We should have ambition, and we do live in. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot. It's my podcast, but still, I would like to get your input on it as well. It's late. I've had this coffee. That was a mistake. But is this why you said you wanted to be a guy? You're gripped by Rand fever.
No.
No, you should. It's exciting.
I had a therapist who told me years ago that I should read The Virtue of Selfishness because she would listen to my problems and she thought that it would help me.
She thought you were too selfless?
Yes.
It's nuts. I didn't know these therapists existed. Only in America.
Yeah. She was very I liked her a lot. She was one of the ones I was closest with. And at the time, the Virtue of Selfishness was too dense for me. So then I thought, well, maybe I can read her fiction, and The Fountainhead was a lot more manageable for me to understand.
Yeah. Have you watched her on YouTube?
Yes.
She is so erotic.
Yeah.
Like horny? Like she's just...
There
she
is
attractive?
no. I mean, most of these videos, she's like 60s. She's got a crooked nose and funny skin and a really strange haircut that I sometimes look like I have when I have a short haircut and grow it back. It looks a little Ayn Randy. But it is just like the energy in this woman. The way she talks, it's like she's a Russian immigrant. She goes on, she's having an interview with a guy, it's like a news presenter, and he's like, you were asking me in a break if people liked me more or less because of my success. And I think they like me less. It's a bizarre thing to come back from an ad break and have the guy doing. She's like, yes, people hate you and they want to bring you down because they're jealous. You should never be jealous.
Because they're Peter Keatings.
They are. Isn't he a disturbing character?
Yeah.
I've got my favourite bit of The Fountainhead. What was your favourite bit of The Fountainhead?
My favorite bit of The Fountainhead, you start from so I can think about it.
The Peter Keating's love interest, who is, I think, the niece
devastating.
of that man. When she snaps and she realizes there's something wrong with her uncle, and she's not articulate enough to know what it is, and she just breaks at him and goes, "There's something, get away from me." I feel like that every day.
Yeah.
That there's something huge and wrong about every airport that I'm in. I feel like that woman just snapping and going, I can't put my finger on it, but get it away from me. This is evil. This amorphous, collectivist goo.
Just any Haitian that comes around you.
Can't get enough Haitians.
Doesn't it feel like...
Love
really?
Haitians. Love
interesting.
I feel that way at the movies. I feel like whenever I see movies, I go, is there a force out there trying to... And the arts.
Yeah.
Destroy every art and every good thing.
It's so beautiful that you've said this. This is a paranoia that only I...
No, I also share that paranoia.
My dad had it in a big way, and still does. But he would we'd be watching a movie as a family. He'd get up and he'd walk out halfway through it, and he would say, it was something like it's left wing. He would often say, but what he meant was this is no longer art. This has become propaganda in some way, and it's haunting when that happens. When I see a bad movie, it wrecks me for ages. Wonder Woman 2. Had to walk out halfway. I thought Wonder Woman 1 was actually really great, but Wonder Woman 2...
A great
evil
personification of that idea is the Rotten Tomatoes ratings, where the critic score is much, much higher than the audience score.
Yes.
But also you can't trust the audience always completely.
Sure.
But you'll notice like those Oscar-based ones where it's just like some terrible movies, and you'll see all the reviews are blaringly positive, and... Then that makes me think,
score is through the floor.
Who owns these publications, and why do they want to destroy art?
I got some theories.
Like when Ellsworth Toohey is propping up this terrible playwright, and
what does it benefit him to have a bad playwright out?
That's what I'm confused about. Is why? Because he goes on these monologues of like, the most powerful thing you can do is collect souls. He talks about collecting souls.
And we know people like that.
Yes.
Who sometimes they have them in a big way, and it's very beautiful. And sometimes you ever meet somebody who just wants to control everybody in the group.
Oh yeah.
Around them, and people have to leave the group if they can't be under control.
Right.
It's haunting. And she identifies that with the religious impulse that he wanted to be, I think, a priest of some kind, Ellsworth Toohey, when he was a boy. If I'm remembering this correctly.
Yes, he was in. I think he wanted to be a priest, and then he was in Princeton or something or the other.
And she would, Christianity to her is sort of like a slave religion. You have the great strong pagan religions
because it denies the self.
Yeah. Which I think is a very perverse reading of Catholicism. That's the point. I was there with her briefly at the time. I sort of thought, this Christianity seems nice, but like sort of got it helped that we weren't living in a Christian society. I imagine in the 30s when she's writing, or the 40s, when everyone is conservative and this thing is happening, you'd go, oh, I'll put those two together. It's probably the same force. But now, whatever that force is not
the same
religious. Well, that I think that energy of going like someone wants ugliness to succeed in the world.
That
right?
lives on.
That lives on.
Yeah.
But the Christians are just not in power in America in any meaningful way.
You don't think so?
No, the last time Christians were in power in America was like when Al Gore was coming out and insisting that expletives be put, Tipper Gore going like, let's clear up the smut and this sort of thing. No one's doing that now. Tipper Gore's probably getting together with Sexy Red, talking about clapping that thing.